Howdy, my little monsters, and welcome to part 2 of episode 5 of Inside the Rack, a not podcast for movie studios executives who take a single book and split it up to make one long movie you tune out instead of a good single compact movie. This is part 2, Endgame. First, the good of the meat. I got my lifts, eventually. I qualified for nationals. I got my 502 deadlift in competition, so I can stop saying I got it and actually prove that I got it. Cool. I also met a lot of humans, and I loved that. I'm generally a person who does not like the humans, but this was different. People knew who I was somehow, and I knew who they were, even though I didn't know their names because I'm just the worst at names. Like Prairie Athena, the national judge, I don't know her real name. I just know her by that name because it's a cool name, and who wouldn't want to be called Athena? Actually, I didn't even know one of my boss's name at often for like a year because I'm super racist, and his name is Tin, and I only ever saw it written down. It should be on the screen here right now, so like you can see this, and it's like, well, in English it's like thin, and like he gets phone calls sometimes in the office, and you're like, yeah, people asking for a thin fan, and it's like, no, it's tin. So anyways, I'd only ever seen it written down and not said out loud, so I started just calling him T so I didn't mispronounce it. Well, guess what, Whitey? It's really not that hard to pronounce. Just try harder. Yeesh. Point is, I met the humans. I liked the humans. I got many pictures of them with RAR, and those are just for me and my sick purposes. I'm not releasing them to the internet. And they seem to like me, except Gabe, who clearly doesn't like me. See part 1. Additionally, the 84 plus kilogram ladies, I think I got to talk to most of them post-meet and explain that, hey, I'm a tranny, and therefore stealing all of your medals. Once again, as has been the case for every meet that I've been to so far, nobody cared. In fact, I was met with, if anyone has a problem with that, tell them to talk to me. And did you do your best? Then no problem. Powerlifting just seems like one of those communities so far where everyone just seems to want everyone to lift heavy things to the best of their own abilities, even if it's not as heavy as somebody else. Just lift as hard as you can lift, as long as you're lifting the hardest you can lift, and do good. I mean, we'll see how it is in other countries if I ever actually go international, but at least in Western Canada, they're just being the best about my situation. So, on to the bad. I got beat. Now, I was looking forward to losing to Mackenzie Lee, no question. I wanted to be put in my place. But I didn't lose doing my best against her best. I got crushed horribly while looking like a complete butt in the process. Her squat was infinitely better than mine, as expected. But the fact that I was down by 10 kilos on my own best just due to depth was horrible. Bench, I thought I was doing pretty good. I hit a provincial record and all that. Her, she hit the Canada record. She's now the 21st strongest bencher of all time for women in tested federations. I'm like way down the list. You want to feel minimized? That's how you do it. But okay, so my bench has only been good recently and my squat's never been good. What about my deadlift? I'm a deadlift specialist. And I hit a new comp PR of 502, right? So did she. So even on my best lift, the only thing that makes me truly special in my mind and my heart, she matched me. She was 100 kilos or pounds or something over my total. Which, very honestly, the day after started putting me into a bit of a downward brain spiral. If I'm not even significant in deadlift, what am I doing pretending to be as I call myself a world class or national class deadlifter and power lifter? Like, I know some people will always be better than me, but at least for deadlift, I thought I was something special. I found my thing, the thing that makes me feel good and be like, yeah, there's nobody as good at me in this. But so one of the things about being bipolar is that everything is reduced to black or white thinking, on or off. I spent so much of my life trying to get rid of my own thoughts that either something was worth being in my head or, like being transgender, had to be utterly destroyed and removed from thought, never to be allowed to even see the light of day. And you just can't undo 19 years of cognitive training that easily. Trust me, a lot of therapists have tried. They're not that good at their jobs. So even though I'm mostly not bipolar anymore, there's still a lot of thinking patterns that are not going to go away. So things are still essentially yes or no, 1 or 0. Friends, they're either a 1 or a 0. They're either in my head or they're not. Am I enjoying this game? Yes or no. Do I want to do something or am I against doing it in any way? So there's very few things that remain positive consistently. Lifting and Kai, my little dude, have been 2 of them. Which is hard when you aren't the parent and get reminded that frequently, because you're a monster with no reproductive organs, that you don't even count as the parent. But lifting, I can control that. Or can I? Apparently not. So even if I'm not good enough to be a dedicated deadlift specialist, is this for me? At least that's how the thoughts went. It's kind of how they're going right now. It's very hard to shake this. And I want to keep lifting, I think. It's hard to when you see someone explode so much and you're stalling so hard. This, of course, led to my thoughts wandering on the driving through BC and on the way home about all the time I spent in the psych ward for the YouTube-friendly version. Terminating oneself prematurely? Yeah. And how I didn't want to be in this world. And maybe I still don't want to be in this world. And yeah. So it's never actually far from my mind, even on the best days. Like, it's like I walk into the gym and it's like, well, the only reason I'm still here is because of Kai and because I can at least lift heavy things. Like, I actually think that on a daily basis. At least I can keep lifting things. So it never actually goes away. It just recedes until the right song comes on the playlist, or a day goes badly, or I can't make a lift that I should be able to make, or whatever. It triggers it, and then you go into this downward spiral and so forth. Honestly, if provincials don't go well, I don't know where my head will be at. Maybe it will go okay, and I can move on to my next very long hypertrophy block and have it be okay and feel like I matter again and make progress and everything will be back on track. But if not, I'm not sure I'm even going to apply for nationals because I'm not going to place against the competition. On a less depressing note, or maybe more depressing, I don't know. I am obviously very inebriated because I can have booze, but I can't have recovery herb. I'm very tired from all the driving and my own thoughts. The IOC put out new rules regarding trans people. They said that there are no longer hard rules. It's about applying soft rules properly, meaning that the straight-up blood test is no longer a good enough metric. Did you have X amount of testosterone? Well, then you're a man, which was screwing over a lot of women of color because some of them have higher testosterone. I'm actually not a racist. That was what was going around during the field runners in some of the Olympics. Anyways, this is more of stuff of like, did you transition last year and not take hormone blockers? What the hell are you actually doing here? Versus my case of like, I transitioned 20 years ago and I never lifted before that. and I'm actually at a pretty severe disadvantage in most cases. So it wouldn't fall under "you're stealing medals, you man in a dress." So the world is making progress in that way, I guess. And let's hope that it continues to do so, that everyone can lift heavy circles. Anyways, I have to go eat a pizza and give my son, who isn't my son, a bubble bath. I love him more than deadlifting. Shalom, my little monsters. Tomorrow will be a better day.